Every few 100 million years, something happens that reshapes which animals survive and which disappear. An asteroid, an ice age, a volcanic winter, each one pressed so hard on life that entirely new creatures emerged from the wreckage. Something like that is happening right now. Not in geological time, in human time, in your lifetime. And the environment doing the pressing is not a desert or an ocean. It is the city you live in. In 2013, researchers studying cliff swallows nesting along Nebraska highways noticed something that should not have been possible. The birds above traffic were developing shorter wings over time. Not metaphorically. Measurably, wing length was shrinking across generations because shorter wings allowed faster takeoff from road surfaces, which meant fewer birds struck by vehicles. A morphological shift, not across millions of years, across decades. That is the pace at which cities operate on living things. Scientists call the process Synurbization, the transformation of a wild species into something specifically engineered for urban life. And it is accelerating faster than anyone predicted. Cities do not just kill the animals that cannot adapt. They rebuild the ones that can, starting with the senses. In the early 2000s, researchers in San Francisco documented that white-crowned sparrows were singing at measurably higher frequencies than the same species in quiet rural areas. The city's low-frequency noise from traffic and machinery was drowning out their lower notes, so birds that sang at higher pitches reproduced more successfully. Within 30 years, the entire urban population had shifted its vocal range. Not learned. Evolved. A study from the Max Planck Institute found the same pattern in great tits across multiple European cities, simultaneously. The same shift. Different species. Different continent. The city was writing the same instruction into different birds at the same time. Your perfect urban animal does not just tolerate the noise. It turns the noise into an advantage no rural competitor can access. There is another force almost no one talks about. Cities are warmer. Not slightly. The urban heat island effect means dense city centers run 2 to 5 degrees Celsius hotter than the surrounding countryside, every day, year-round. Researchers at Harvard studying gecko populations in Puerto Rico found measurably different toe pad structures in urban geckos compared to rural ones, within just a few decades of urban exposure. Better grip on smooth manufactured surfaces. Glass, tile, concrete. The city was not just selecting for heat tolerance. It was redesigning the body for materials that did not exist in nature 60 years ago. But the most dramatic pressure the city applies is cognitive. And here the animal that reveals the most is not a bird or a lizard. It is the wild boar. In Barcelona, boar populations that moved into the urban periphery were documented adjusting their movement schedules in response to garbage collection timetables, actively avoiding camera-equipped zones, and varying their routes to resist pattern recognition by city workers. These are animals with no prior exposure to cameras, municipal schedules, or urban infrastructure. They reverse-engineered a human system, not one individual. The population. Collectively, scientists describe this as behavioral flexibility, the specific cognitive skill the city rewards above all else. Not raw strength. Not speed. The ability to read a new system quickly and exploit it before the system adjusts back. In a forest, intelligence means knowing your territory. In a city, intelligence means learning a territory that changes every single week. That is an entirely different demand, and the animals meeting it are doing so without any evolutionary precedent to draw from. Here is where everything becomes genuinely strange. The hawk nesting on the skyscraper, the boar navigating the city schedule, the sparrow hitting higher notes, the gecko gripping glass. These animals share no recent common ancestor. They arrived at urban adaptation from completely different evolutionary histories. And yet, they are finding the same answers. This is convergent evolution. Different species, under identical pressure, independently arriving at identical solutions. What the city is revealing is that there is a specific biological template for urban survival. Not one animal, a template. And nature is discovering it simultaneously across dozens of separate lineages. Your perfect urban animal is not a single creature evolving in a single place. It is a design that life keeps reinventing wherever cities press hard enough. And the change goes deeper than behavior. A landmark study from Fordham University tracked white-footed mice living in New York City parks, isolated from each other by roads and buildings. Within just a few decades of urban separation, the mouse populations in different parks had developed measurable genetic differences from each other and from their rural relatives. The city was not just changing how animals act. It was driving genetic divergence faster than almost any natural environment on record. Epigenetic markers, chemical signals on DNA that alter how genes express themselves, were also different in urban mice. Urban pressure was leaving a biological signature that parents passed directly to offspring. The city was not waiting for slow mutation. It was rewriting the instruction manual. So when you assemble everything the city actually selects for, you get a single coherent profile. An animal that sings above the noise, that grips manufactured surfaces, that reads human systems faster than humans expect, that thrives in permanent artificial warmth, whose genetics shift across decades rather than millennia. That does not freeze when something new appears. That interrogates it instead. And critically, it looks completely ordinary. It does not look powerful. Because the city does not reward impressive. It rewards invisible. The animal that 100 people walk past every day without slowing down. The one that lives exactly where human attention stops. We built cities for ourselves. We optimized every surface, every schedule, every system for human use. And in doing so, we created an evolutionary pressure unlike anything that has existed on this planet before. Faster than a glacier. More precise than a drought. And it selects for a very specific kind of creature. Not the biggest. Not the fiercest. The one that looked at everything we constructed and saw an ecological niche that nothing else had learned to fill yet. The perfect urban animal is not a future possibility. It is an ongoing process. And the reason you have never thought of it that way is exactly the reason it is winning.